What's up, guys? Ash here, and today we are going back to the basics. A lot of my guides are built around endgame content, and I'd like to take a step back and see if we can help our newer players. For sure, I believe that the journey is more important than the destination. So today we're going to be talking about chowing down, the battle interface, and then finally mastery sets. Let's get right into it. Alright guys, so before you've got all the pets running around and the drones, and before you've got your army of troubleshooters, even before your weapons merchant and your antique dealer, your actual first shop in the game where you can spend money is Don Bruce. And Don allows you to order food. Now, I'm sure many of you know that the food portion of the game will at least give you motivation, and motivation at 1,000 does give you a buff in the beginning. I believe it's vitality, so it's extra vigor recovery, which is pretty cool. And then, should you be dying a lot on your missions or your people are not highly motivated, you can come here and, get a sandwich and it'll give you 300 motivation or what have you. But the part that you might not have noticed is that there's also satiety and refreshment coming from it. And so what does that do? So you can actually combine food in this game in order to get food buffs that are used in real combat. So for example, if I were to select hot milk with savory salad, I'll get fast and easy. And so, very important to note that when satiety is 50% or higher after consumption, you'll get the following effect, which is armor and resist increased by 2 for every level and increased block chance. Now, there are many different food combinations. We can do water, juice, and beer for mix it all. And this is going to give you increased speed by 15 and move by 1. Important to also note, beer is considered alcohol and is a minor, and so you can't feed alcohol to a minor. So all of these buffs will last for 9 turns, so it is temporary, but it is a really good buff, and most fights will be determined in the first 9 turns, so I find this very useful. You don't have to use it for, like, let's say a scenario mission, but I would definitely recommend this for violent cases for sure. And then each type of food buff has 3 different tiers that increases as you go along. Additionally, if you want extended duration for a food buff, you can consider the Human Mastery Glutton, which increases the food buff duration by 100%. Bring it up real quick here. And you can get this by triggering meal set effects 10 times, and it'll give you the achievement Eating is Power. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the 4 different types of food effects. The first one is item and mastery acquisition rate. With critical hit and chance increase. And so this is particularly useful if you're farming something, if you really want a piece of gear, it's not dropping. You can, stack this with the wind wall bonus, and it's really great for farming. The second one, vigor recovery and accuracy. This is great for the very early game where you don't have as much vigor and you're kind of struggling to keep up. And you have to stop to recover vigor, and then the accuracy boost really helps in the beginning as well. Number 3, the speed increase and move distance increase. This is the mix it all one. This is also very good and very easy to replicate against your characters. So if all of them are at basically 0 for refreshment, this will work on every character except for Anne. And then if you want, you can fire this off and then do just water and juice for Anne, and that'll give her a slightly weaker version at 10 speed and 1 move. And then finally, there is an armor resistance increase with block increase, which is the one I showed earlier. So this is actually really good for tanks, in case you wanted to reinforce them even more. Or maybe, you know, you have tanks that just can't get to the front. And so let's say Irene and Leeton are your tanks. You'll want to give them speed, you know, and, you know, mix around, do as you see fit, whatever is more important for you. Just keep in mind that each one will show what it needs. So to get mix at all, you have to have refreshment is 70% or above after consumption. So this is interesting to note. I'm going to go ahead and highlight Hamburger Girl and Scion here because they can really put it down. Their max satiety is higher than the rest here. So if you look at Jizzy only has 70 satiety. So for example, let's say we do hot milk with savory salad. Fast and easy, and this is the armor and resistance upgrade. Even if, you know, if you were to do both of these at the same time, the satiety that it's giving down here is a total of 24. So that's going to put Scion at a 24 out of 120, and then Irene 24 out of 110. But notice on the buff is activated when satiety is 50% or above. So if I feed this to them, you're going to see the satiety and refreshment is going to go up, but you're not going to see the buff go off. And so even if I were to feed it to them again, it's still not going to go off. And that's because they're pigs. No. And so, you know, this is really important to note. You know, if you want to do for another solid day, it's got to be 70% or above. You know, so currently he's at 48, she's at 48, and when I add this, it'll be 51. So that'll put satiety at 99 for both him and her, and they'll basically be good. So now notice you can see it up there. That's the actual buff that's going on, which is really cool. But also keep in mind that if you don't do your math correctly, you can be a pig like Scion and overeat. And so if you overeat, you'll also get a debuff. And basically, your motivation will decrease when consuming meal effects or side dishes, and meal effects won't even activate. So this is more than it seems. I try and keep it simple. You know, if nothing else, do water, juice, and beer, with the exception of Anne, and you're going to get an immediate. You know, you don't have to do any math with this one. This will be 76 refreshment, which is good for everyone, with the exception of Anne because of the minor portion. So moving on to the battle interface, it's very important that you guys learn a few specific controls. So for starters, the keyboard button I. So if you have Albus default selected, it's gonna bring up all of his skills, you know, all of his equipment, stats, and stuff like that, which is great. And so to give you an idea of how this is useful, we're gonna go up to the scoundrel here. I notice I have 100% crit chance and 100% aim chance. Now he does have 7% block, and that we'll go into that at a later date. But basically, it's saying that I have 100% chance to crit. Now, if I go over to this mercenary assassin, it says I've only got 71% chance to crit. And so this is very important. You can scroll over the crit hit, and it'll give you the full math breakdown of what's happening. And so what's in yellow is what Albus is doing to them. What's in red is what is coming from them. So it's showing, you know, Nocturnal Elite enemy block, that's 16%, but there's this huge amount coming from Keen Sense, which is critical hit damage. 50% is a huge amount, so this is where you can select the character itself, again, using the I button. And if you've never seen, you know, some of the skills before, you're kind of curious, we're going to go over to Keen Sense, like it said. Upon assaulted, you do not gain either exposed state or flanking target. So exposed state or flanking target gives 50% critical hit rate, and you'll be able to see that on this guy here. So you can see flanking target plus 50% at the top. And, you know, as another example, Albus is currently set on Great Swordsman. Field of Swordmaster is supposed to shred enemies' block chance by 30, as well as shred dodge chance by 15. So right now, that same scoundrel is showing exactly 7% block. So if I run over to him, you're going to see now that his block chance is 0. And the reason why is because now it's taking into effect Field of Swordmaster. So his base 22% that he normally has is being affected by the negative 30% block shred. So now it's literally impossible for him to block. And I hope this just showcases kind of, you know, if you not understand why something happened the way that it did, bring up the detailed information for sure. So now in that same battle, you know, Scion's up, let's say, you know, he's got the overeat debuff, he's got to release some of this energy that he's piling on, or he's gonna food coma. And we're seeing here, you know, okay, we want him to support Albus, but it does look pretty far. So, you know, maybe we'll just run him over to the side here. Well, there is a way to actually check distance without actually, you know, counting out each individual tile. And that way is called the, well, by default, the V button. And so this V button is going to show you kind of a combat preview. So I'm going to go ahead and select 3 for Lightning Ball. And notice now the red portion, the white portion is his sight vision. The red portion is how far the ability will go. So whereas before I didn't think he could really make it, if I move him to right here, he'll have just enough room. Or I'll switch to Flash Beam here, and you can see that I can do it even from here because it has one more additional range. So, you know, this is very useful, engaging. You know, if you don't want to if you want to keep your squishies in the back line, or just engaging how far they should go. So, just to show you guys, I'm going to leave combat preview, and then, you know, if I want to do 3, just like it showed, I can hit the Mercenary Assassin. Alright, and so for the final portion of the video, we are going to go over Mastery sets, which is certainly one of the main themes of the game. If not, for some people, they'll probably spend more time in the Mastery board than they will actually playing the game, which is totally fine. Theory crafting is very cool. So I've started a new game here. I'm at the end, basically, of Chapter 1. So this is still very fresh. My only 2 characters are Albus and Scion. And so I've played each map that they've given me just once. Even at this level, which is, what level are you, Scion? 14? You know, he hasn't even unlocked his next class yet. He's not finished class leveling Elementalist. Even at this level, I was able to make Magic Training, Soul Stealer, and potentially make Magic Control. What a Mastery set is 4 Masteries that are combined to give you a bonus. So in this particular case for Magic Training, it's Body Training, which increases health by level, Willpower, which is ESP by level, Mage, ESP power as much as Maximum Vigor, and then Magic Bash, which is ESP damage. And when you put them together, they combine to give you this bonus set, which is why we really like Mastery sets. So this is going to give you bonus health, ESP resistance, and ESP hit, which in the very beginning of the game is huge. This is probably one of the better sets in the beginning of the game for sure. And so, you know, on Albus, we've got Retaliation, which is great because when dodging, your counterattack will always hit, and when attacked, your counterattack will always land a critical strike, which is pretty good for the beginning of the game. To check this, to check all the different sets you could potentially have, you're going to go down here to Mastery Set. If you have 4 colored ones, like right here, it means you do possess a Mastery, you just haven't figured out the set. So like right here, you can see basic tactical training. I've used it, I figured it out, and then it shows me body training, strategist, tactical sense, and will to survive. And so all 4 of those make that, and clearly I used it earlier. But you know, on this next page, a lot of these are the class abilities. So this is retaliation is specific to swordsmen, and you know, it's good to know that for the ones you have no information on, yeah, you can't really research it at all. But for the ones that you do even have, you know, 1 or 2, so this is Forestallment and Sharp Blade. Because I've spent what feels like years playing Albus, I can tell you that this is Sen no Sen. So it's saying it's a mastery I can research, and it's a mastery I already possess. So for Sen no Sen, it uses Acuity. So we're going to drop body training here, and aggression. So it uses Acuity, Sharp Blade for Stallment, and then Extreme Speed. And so you can see it right here, and you don't know this, but I'm going to give you guys a link to where you can check this so that you know for future reference. So apparently I have Extreme Speed, but haven't created one. And we'll go into like crafting and all that stuff at another time. But I'm going to craft this Extreme Speed, and then I'm going to equip it. And now I have Sen no Sen. You can see that the mastery sets here are shown with a star if it's being used. So right now, Bounding Stride and Tactical Sense are not being used in a mastery set, so they don't have a star underneath them. What Acuity, Extreme Speed, Forestallment, and Sharp Blade made was this mastery set called Sen no Sen, which makes it so that Forestallment is always a crit. And in the beginning of the game, this is devastating. This is going to be a guaranteed hit and a guaranteed critical, and is very powerful for the beginnings. And then the last 2 things I wanted to show you guys. So the reason why this mastery set board is really great is because it's showing you on a high level, you know, a tree level, all the abilities and stuff that you've researched. But it's also particularly good when you're making your builds, because let's say I just clean out everything, right? And I don't really know everything that I know or everything that I want, but I do know I want Retaliation and I do want Sen no Sen. So you can go over here, click on Retaliation, put Equip, and Sen no Sen, and put Equip. And so instead of individually putting all those on, it's just going to load those 8 masteries, or 7 I guess, because Sharp Blade's being used twice. It's going to load those 7 masteries. And, you know, then from there, okay, so I've used 11 out of 13. I have the 2 things I really want. Got 2 free points, you know, whatever I want to put down. And then for researching, so let's just say you need concentration, right? So, you know, you go over here and you're like, okay, I like critical hit chance. I want to put on concentration, but I have none. So you'll go down here to Mastery Crafting, and you can click around as you see fit, and it'll show you the research material and then the slot that it needs. So if you want to be, I guess, manual about it, you can click on See Unlocked Masteries, and this will show you kind of a list of the stuff that you can use. Now I recommend always try to keep this balanced as much as possible. So in this example, you get a lot of body trainings from this game. Almost every character in some form drops body training. So this requires 1 point to research concentration. So we're going to add this body training, right? And then hit research. And so what it's going to do is subtract 1 body training from your total and then convert it into concentration. So now we actually have a concentration. We would just need a slot opened over here to equip it. And then to save you guys a lot of headache, let's say I need Bladestorm and Albus needs Bladestorm. You'll also notice up here, this will also be a requirement for Bladestorm. So not only do I need to be able to create the points here, but this is also mandatory. Now there's a few ways you can go about this. If you double click on that one, it'll take you to Sharp Blade, and you could actually just do auto select. And what that's going to do is automate what gets used, and usually it's pretty intelligent in that it takes your highest count of the item. But to take that a step further, let's say I didn't research this and I just went back to Bladestorm where I have no sharp blades. You can actually do research all, which is going to get the tier below it and tiers below it as necessary. So I'm going to do research all, and then up here you can actually auto select. So, you know, it's going to pull Will to Survive to make Sharp Blade, and then Predator and Concentrated Fire to make Bladestorm. And so it just saves you a ton of time. Just click research and bam, you have Bladestorm. Alright guys, that about wraps up this video. Special thanks to TargetPractice and Delayed Hopkick for creating the guides. Link will be down below in the description. This is the Mastery Set Guide, which is incredibly useful, and then the Meal Sets Guide as well, which is really awesome. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like or subscribe. Lets me know I'm doing a good job, and until next time.